Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of the world of Sasquatch. It's been at least, I would have to say, 8 months to a year since we have really officially heard from the forest people. I mean, we've known where they are. We've gotten quick little messages from them. We've heard from Fuma a couple of times using orgone pieces as transmission points and such. Uh, but when we were at the last psychic fair we were at, there was someone that approached our table that had a forest person watching them. He approached me and he said his name was Phaleron. And at first, he was very, very, very hesitant to do any sort of reports or anything like that. Extremely hesitant, and I'll tell you why. Their sacred spot in Sycamore Falls was attacked by the Cabal forces, military forces. It was on fire quite extensively. That was done by energy weapons, and they had to scatter. And so they went to, I'm not sure where they went to. They won't tell me where they went to, which is just fine. But at first, Phaleron said at the psychic fair that they wanted to let me know they were okay. At first, he was very hesitant to do any sort of recordings or any sort of anything. He won't be on the Friday show, no offense to us then, but there's more people listening to that one. When he saw this would go to Patreon, he was more amicable. So we got to restrict it to Patreon for that reason. Normally, the forest people would not restrict us in any way, shape, or form. But with this, they have because of emergency circumstances. And when I saw that, he had me take out these 2 feet. Normally, they don't like the Bigfoot name at all. They find it kind of insulting, but they had me take out the 2 feet, and they had me bring in this crystal for whatever reason, maybe a speaking focal point of some kind for momentary use. Normally, it's my bigger crystal I have right in front that they speak through. Any being speaks through, but I guess they wanted this other one as a go-between. I guess too, as like a way, like how if you know a phone is bugged, you have another thing canceling out the bug. So that's probably why they're doing that. But yeah, I know it's not just Phaleron that's here, but
Yeah, there's
yeah.
a lot of support.
Yes, there's a great amount of support, but it's very brief. So extremely brief. So when I called out to Phaleron, I remembered the name. I took the name out of my wallet where I'd written it down, and all I heard was, "What do you want?" But he was saying it in a joking way, but also in a nervous fashion too. So, which one's talking? Is it Phaleron, Fuma, any of them? Okay. Phaleron is the one talking this time. That's an interesting name, by the way. Yeah.
I think they want to get right to it.
Yes. They're going. They're like that does so. Okay. Okay. Phaleron can use both crystals. You're welcome to use the purple one here.
Does he want you to hold both, or
yeah?
Because I don't know why you're holding that yet.
I'm used to holding the mouse on Interstellar Council, so to mute and unmute. So it's a habit. So. Yes, Isaac, I'll shut up. Thank you. All right. Ooh. What's the hurry? Excuse the abruptness. My name is Phaleron, and I am what you would refer to as a sentinel for a group or colony of the forest people, or Sasquatch, or you say Bigfoot people, which some find that insulting, others do not. Depends. I will get right to the point. We already knew we were going to communicate, but we were using humor or utilizing humor to ensure that this connection was a solid one. And the stone that he is holding is quite unique in its composition. For us to speak, we are surrounded in similar edifices. So, in this, yes, a report on us is most assured, but to a smaller audience. The last one that was given to a bigger audience was not as kind to us in return. No fault of anyone on this end. In our temple space, as he says in Sycamore Falls, there was a reason why it was so difficult for anyone to get to. This is why we chose it, because even your most hardened military sometimes had a hard time, even though there were hikers that came and went. Eventually, those connections made it so that the military figured we were there. We will not infer where we are now, but just know that the forest people are, as you would say, back in the game, but not in the original capacity in which you knew us as. Yes, we will communicate periodically, but we cannot go back to gifting at this particular time. We were going to for a short period, and then the military struck some of our key locations in the United States, with help of other races, of course. In this, we have had to not disclose our location. Yes, you might say it is back to old habits, you would say, of being elusive. But we will also continue communications to a smaller, you would say lesser degree, but we will continue to do so. We love the gifting and we would encourage this, but you may see that we may not be coming for the things that we once did, which is no insult. Just know that across the board, this is going to be slightly lessened for an indeterminate amount of time. I'm speaking for a fairly large group, not only from the Arizona state, but all the way up your western seaboard. And there is also a reason that all of us are conglomerating like this. We are also moving away from your states, California and Oregon, with the exception of areas of Washington, of course, of which we are still sited there. Some of us are attempting to stay in a western area of your country, but at the same time, we have forces driving us eastward. So just know our location cannot be spoken of at this time. Doesn't mean that we're gone from your presence. So we know the good that is out there and the good people that are out there, but at this time, we must maintain a radio silence, you would call it. Even though we do have technology at our disposal in some cases, this must be at this point in history, even more so than your 2020. I can go into questions.
So I have to kind of, you guys may not be able to feel anything that's going on here, but I'm going to bring up the elephant in the room because we were very excited, obviously, to hear that you guys were going to be able to give any message. We've had a little bit of sorrow because we feel that, again, some of our reportings have maybe contributed to some of the more intense hunting. And, I know you say, again, don't feel bad about that because you're contributing in these conversations willingly. And I get that. But, it's hard on our end as well to want to contribute anything when you feel that it's providing information for a hunt. But I will have to tell you, the channel opened, you guys came through. What I cannot believe that I'm feeling right now, and I'm asking you, where is it coming from? I cannot get over the immense pressure of anxiety that is coming and hitting me in the face. Unbelievable amount of, but I'm using the word anxiety intentionally, this anxiety pressure. So my curiosity is, where is that coming from? Is that anxiety coming from your group? Is that anxiety coming from those that don't want this conversation to occur? It is very heavy pressure.
You are accurately sensing things. Not all are in accord with this conversation. You are dealing with several tribes and several councils and territorial chieftains. They are not all in consensus with this conversation because of the safety factor involved. They know about the co-creative effects of both loving intentions and anxiety intentions. But in this, you are sensing a variety of different levels and different decision making, let's just say. But the group here in Arizona that you know elected also to speak on behalf of the group. No one is to blame in this particular endeavor, but this had to be said because there are others out there attempting to call to us that they do not have negative intentions at all, but there are those calling to us that do, and some do not know that they do. No one here, no one in this room, no one in this area. But there are other channelers out there that have been, how shall I say it, tagged to find other groups such as ourselves on behalf of more militaristic groups. And this has been occurring. As dear Chuck, as he called himself, once told you, those that are targeted, it is nothing personal. It is just, as you say, business. That is not necessarily the cold response that I wish to convey. But even though you two are being targeted, we know you are exceptions to the rules. This is why we speak now, because we know who you both really are. But there are others that do not do the due diligence to eradicate the targeting and create safe areas. They feel that the outwardly forces will always protect them. There are some that you have encountered that are similar in thread to what I am speaking. I will not utter names, but this is the anxiety in which you are feeling now.
So, and again, maybe some of you now watching this are picking up on it, are picking up on it because it's very, very intense. So I have much compassion for those in your group that are carrying this anxiety. I really, really, really cannot, state that enough. And again, in the hopes that, whatever the group is now going through, that the energies favor that passing and a calm helping come over everyone, and of course the highest good of your group. So I need to bring this conversation up in the context of things that Chris and I have been picking up on more specifically in the last few weeks, because it seems to be a part of it. I don't know any other way to say it, but it feels like, a full court press, let's say, of energies from another side, to now it's like some trigger has been pulled, some light has been turned on, something, and wham, an infiltration, like a war, and a general from many fronts is saying, activate, and an infiltration. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just things that we've been seeing. And I feel now the same, that it's affecting you guys also in the same way. I feel very, very blessed to be able to see it. But I'd like to have some conversation about it in the context of the overall energies and the changing of energies and the cabal fulfilling their plan and things like that.
You are most correct. They did, as you would say, flip on a switch. It is very similar to that in your Star Wars universe, where the stormtroopers were instantly changed sides by the telling of a code. This is very similar to what has taken place now with some of your forces that are out there. Those that were put in key locations, let's just say, no matter where they were, had a particular bit of programming activated, and they become quite different than you expected them. You have already seen the wake and the after effect of this in your psychic fair communities. You are witnessing this firsthand, but you are seeing the outer edge of, say, the sun's corona. Let's just put it that way. You are seeing the effect and not necessarily the cause. We have seen both. This is why we are communicating in this particular fashion, in this narrower bandwidth, because of the fact that certain plans are coming to fruition. It may be in a different way than before and on a different timeline than before. But as was said about the cabal, they are going through with certain plans no matter what. So we are able to be better prepared for this. But the reason that both of you have been seeing the effects that you have been seeing in your society, it is because of the fact that some of these agents, you would call them, of no matter what variety and type, and let's just say compartmentalized program, let's just put it that way, they have been activated all across the board in an attempt to keep things running. And yes, are the tigers going to change their stripes and you will have to discern your way through the next several years? Yes. Yes, we have said this quite often, as have other beings said this quite often, where you have to root them out for a long time, but the idea is to surpass them. And this is what we are doing. But at the same time, you were also fighting a war of magic, a war of science, a war of science. I am indicating this for you guys. And an immense war of magic, intellect, and hard space, and energy, most of all. This is what is currently going on.
So you obviously put a lot of emphasis on the war of science, and I get that. And of course, dealing with the COVID and the vaccine and different things that are going on. Now, is it correct to say, from your perspective, what you can see, that there have been a lot more people who are now willing to feel the need to make themselves known, take a stand, say things that are not in line with the cabal plan, in order to try and bring forth knowledge, even though I actually think some of them are thinking in a way that, wow, could they, in a sense, could they really be out to get us? But that is a thought that is just too hard to get. I think some of them are reflecting on the George Guidestones internally. Could something be going on, even though they would never want to say it on air? And I do mean the epidemiologists, the scientists, and other people as well. Do you feel, from your perspective, any of that's going on?
Yes, and there are also acceptable variations that are being put out there of different narratives and different stories and even different technology, of what we speak also, that is acceptable to the cabal narrative. They not only scripted a hard narrative, but they had acceptable variations in there to make sure people thought certain things were either going away or changing in favor of, which again, with the energies, yes, that is true. But in this particular respect, you are seeing only a few of the variations within the scripting that they have concocted in the background. They have, over a period of time, created a multitude of different contingencies, different fall people, different scapegoats, and different, as you would say, designated distractors. That there is a line, you would say, around the block, you would also say, of different designated distractors. This is why it seems that it is never ending. No matter how many heads are lost or how many people are derailed, it seems like it's a never-ending line of those that have been corrupted. And you would be slightly incorrect in saying that there is an end to it, because there is a changing and a breaking point to it. And this is something that they do know. But just know that with entities, with scientific concoctions and technologies and variations, and the people that back them, and the people that are agents within the society. They have people waiting in the wings that can continually come out, but they will become noticeable and more noticeable as time continues to roll on, either in your media or in your private institutions.
So again, you say all that, but I think you also feel like I do, though, that it is humanity's right, and it is humanity's destiny that they will feel the flip side of both sides, meaning we've already gone down the tubes. That was already done first. Now coming out of it and creating then a different vision of society with a totally different, I guess I'd want to say the opposite of domination and control with the AI, whatever the opposite of that, however that looks like, a different version of it, that, that we are destined to have those experiences. I feel like I feel like I need to say that, because even with what you just said, which to my ears is no surprise, again, I say it's hard when you've been programmed to believe in instant pudding. And I'm sorry to say, but there's been a lot out there to program people into believing it's instant pudding or failure. And it's really not going to be done in a quick enough pace for some people, but it doesn't mean it will not occur. It just takes time to get more of a mass of people to a particular point of understanding. And so I don't want to leave this as a gloom and doom. So can you speak a little bit on that?
Yes, you are absolutely correct. This is not in dispute, the changing of the guard as far as energies go. We are also just merely saying what is going on in the, you would say, narrative wing of this particular conversation, because it is currently also affecting things within your very own lives and the presences in which you find yourselves in. But this is not all doom and gloom, you see. All of this is being presented to you and all of you listening, and to eventually anyone that gets this message in the future. Know that in this particular way, all of these things are presenting themselves to you in order to correct them, either on an energetic level within the self, and or correcting the environment around you, or withdrawing from a certain environment that has become too toxic or too dense with the magic or with the science or what have you. But the reason I emphasized on the war of science is because of the fact that what you are seeing on your televisions is merely propaganda, you would say. And there are also wars of different science and magic going on in the back, in which they are one and the same. But this will be figured out in your later years of your civilization. But the point I'm trying to make is, no, it is not all doom and gloom. You will carry on past this. You have already changed history just by doing what you are doing. You have already changed the timeline for the better than it was in any of the other reboots, you would call it. So in this, we are grateful, and there are others out there that are grateful that you have not met yet. Know that you are playing your role, as some have put it, but not in a negative connotation, as he discovered in his memory sequences. They were thinking they were playing a role within their little compartmentalized projects out of fear. That was their connotation for it. Our connotation for it is the fact that you would say stay in your lane. That is our connotation for that particular narrative.
And I think that's so important. It's, again, we're bringing up the Kenny Rogers song, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to stand, know when to walk away. And it's very important, because, again, this whole kind of, cause, righteous cause, it is so easy for anyone to get caught up in the thought of a righteous cause and then feel, since I see it all, I'm supposed to do something about it all, rather than understand that you should not be splitting your energies. You must really focus on what your contribution is and still try to only stay in that lane so that your energies don't get split and you can make a more concerted effort to maintain what you fundamentally came in here to help with. And so I think that concept is very, very hard, for people. I think that's what you were just saying. I'm saying it a little bit differently, but can you comment a little further on that?
Yes, you are absolutely correct. Yes, these things have been brought to both of your attention for an absolute reason, to show you what you are surrounded by. We are not saying do not take stands. We're not saying don't even try to stop it in some degree, but within the confines of your lane, let's just say. Yes, it is good to oust of these things and change things for the better, like what both of you wish to do. But you can also create something based on your very own lane that has a much more immense torsion field than ousting anyone in these other two lanes ever could. Yes, pointing out the flaws in this, absolutely wonderful. Noticing it, absolutely wonderful, because it was shown to you in that synchronistic form, not only by us, but by other forces out there. But by maintaining your lane status, as it were, you are speaking far more roguish volume than you ever knew possible. Yes, it is good, again, to notice these things and to even have the will and the heart to oust these things. But you will also oust these things by creating your own designated lane by which then you can filter what you have been discussing. This too is a form of magic.
So what we originally wanted to talk about, I feel, comes in at this moment. What we wanted to really kind of talk about is, again, everyone's kind of mindset. Even with the concept of, let's say, birds of a feather flock together, birds of the same frequency flock together, that is going to be true for certain, let's call it agenda type of situations. And the importance of being able to work with people coming together for a certain agenda, even though entirely you may not be in complete agreement. The reason I said that is you mentioned that perfectly, talking about the collective of your people and the different tribes or whatever, and there isn't total agreement. Mm-hmm. There was agreement enough that allowed a slice of this pie in the conversation to occur. I think in a way you're trying to do it to make everyone in your group comfortable and trying to honor everyone that you can honor. Mm-hmm. And actually, I feel the anxiety is lifted. So it's very interesting now that I'm feeling, I don't know what just occurred, but something has occurred and a more of a calm has come over, mm-hmm. Which I'm just, honestly, I'm amazed about because it got so intense. But the importance, because again, I think now what everyone will begin to notice and will become confused about for a second is, again, the mythos that you must agree upon everything, the mythos that you must agree always on, everything must be in sync, rather than can you take moments and work with people to still further something without being a complete and utter mirror of one another. And again, what society's trying to do right now is to tell you, no, you cannot work with people unless they are in complete ideology with you. I think that's what partly is going on in the background. It's all or nothing. And that is not a true statement. So I was hoping you could talk on that.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. That is definitely not a true statement. Yes, people can be mirrors for one another, especially if you have something to correct. In your own energetics, you will have a mirror that is coming to you with the exact type of conditions that you need to correct within the self. That is still a truth. But this does not necessarily mean all those people must reflect the same ideals, you see. They just need to be willing to sometimes either agree to disagree or be willing to not, as you would say, bring in any ill energies in the ways that they do it, you see. Yes, there are ways to do it and ways not to do it. That is not the point in this particular case. The unity consciousness, as it were, does begin to grow more when everyone is respected for the lanes that they are currently in.
So I feel that's very important again to bring out because I think people are going to become confused.
Hmm.
And that is the goal. That's part of the goal of this is to keep everybody confused. So don't be confused. Look for people that there is something within them, something that you can basically agree with together that is again in itself an energetic commonality that will create a larger, energetic positive torsion field just to even find these little things. It could be something very, very small that you don't realize the wave of that opens the door for greater understanding. So, again, when you're at the store, open the door for people, say hello, do anything to try and again find any commonality, even if it's just, the old fashioned, be kind to one another for a second or whatever it is, because that is a building force that will occur and will begin to open other doors and in a sense shun some of these other energies that are being thrust upon everybody at this time, and pots that are trying to be stirred by those people who have been turned on as infiltrators as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I know there isn't much time. I do feel that. So I just want to turn this over to you guys to be able to say whatever it is you want to say right now.
Yes, there is a great deal of infiltration in a lot of different groups. No, these were plans that were already in motion long before you ever discovered them. The programs were activated at particular times. You see, different groups were either created by what you call a deep state, or its compartmentalized factions, or military and other corporate arms, you would call them. Or they were infiltrated if they got too large to be a threat to that particular independence of the or sovereignty of any of the cabal factions or corporate factions, the ones that want to remain in charge in their own compartmentalized wings. Let's just put it that way. These particular areas and these particular groups, just know that nearly all of them that have attained a certain size and status within the community all have infiltrators. I will repeat this because it is meaningful. When they have attained, organizations, fairs, any of them have attained a certain size, they always, and I mean always, have infiltrators. Some were there beforehand to usher in a larger status by which others could enter. Very much like if you have a virus and it invites in bacteria and the like, it is very, very similar. They can be mad about that analogy all they wish. This is exactly how this type of thing works. They will open the drawbridge and allow others in that don't necessarily belong in those communities or appear not to belong in those communities. We are saying open your own drawbridge and allow in the lane in which you are good at to be able to counterbalance this other drawbridge that has opened to these other areas, or various drawbridges that have opened to these other areas, therefore infiltrating the castle. We know the wish is to completely clean house and clean the castle of any viral contaminants, and this is an extremely commendable goal. However, it is more of an apt goal to create your own that does not have any of these things within it, you see, knowing now that the drawbridges are opened by those who are unaware that sometimes they're opening the drawbridge or they're doing it intentionally because it is a source of funding. They're seeing it as a badge of honor when in fact it is a Kabbalistic infiltration or corporate infiltration. These are the things that are currently happening in your presence. You will see it hit a breaking point or what you would call critical mass before the energies clash. We're not saying leave or go. We will not make these decisions for you or anyone listening to this. However, know that there is a critical mass point by which certain energies, an immovable object or an unstoppable force, will not be able to not focus on each other. This is the message we wish to bring through. Also, the fact that we ourselves are okay, and that we will be in further communications when it is possible and safer to do so. We know this is not the typical, as you would say, the world of Sasquatch. We will be more open to talking about where we are and where we're transmitting from when things are slightly different on the other side of this particular energetic divide, let's just say, or what you and your friend Viking call a bifurcation of different energies and the showing of different energies. Just know you are all inclusive, except, let me say this, except for those that are in a more pure evilistic mindset or harmful mindset. This is not something we condone. But as far as unity goes, agree to disagree on different viewpoints, which you have been presented with, and you have also been presented with agents, you've been presented with infiltrators. Know that if you strike out against any of these infiltrators, they are pre-programmed to play the role of the underdog, the downtrodden, and the beaten. Just know that your razor's edge mindset and stance must always remain until an opportunity presents itself, which it may or may not. So thank you. Oh, he was in a hurry.
Were you able, being in channel, being able to feel all that pressure? It was unbelievable. That's actually one of the.
There are hundreds of them, so it's like.
No, I'm just saying, of everything we've ever done, this has been honestly, literally one of the most high anxiety things that I have recognized. I don't know, maybe not you, but.
Oh yeah, this is when the Sasquatch people or the forest people are in a state of either love or anxiety. It is felt because of the stance and the vibration and density there.
But I mean the intensity of it.
Intensity of it. Even one by themselves can be intense, but this was like a group of like 1,000 of them. So
and it went away for just a little bit, which surprised me.
They noticed that it was causing, what it was causing was their anxiety was causing other eyes to look at them. So it was like
there
they had
was
to
still
tone it
some
down.
that came back at the end, I will say. But
there are some that are like this. I'm seeing the faces of some of them. They're like this, and then some are going. It's just a variety of them.
Well, I find it interesting because, again, it goes to the point of trying to, find enough of a commonality to allow something to occur. Even though I think even the ones that were high anxiety and sad,
they were still kind. Yeah.
They were still kind, but they were still willing to take a chance on this, I guess.
Yeah, and they were still willing.
I don't think they would have done it if really there was a lot of bad.
I think they
complete and utter resistance. I don't think they would have done that.
I think they chose a slow day for the resistance coming in. They chose a slow moment, and also outside right now there's a huge storm brewing out there. I think they were using that to their advantage too. Right. It's turning dark out here. I think they were using the weather patterns as an advantage here. Even though some of them are generated, I think they were able to use that as a shield too.
Right.
The weather. So and they're able to conjure weather patterns too, to be able to shield themselves. So that's another ability they have. They can conjure the winds and the rains and everything. So and there's still 3 of them looking at me here. I think
pleasantly or is there mixed emotions?
There's a couple mixed emotions there. So what is it, guys? Is there something that needs to be resolved? I recognize 2 of you. The third one I do not. No, Isaac, his name is not Big Lips. Okay. That. What do you mean that? What do you mean that? He just, he pokes fun at people. Yes, you have a sense of humor. Who's you have dark hair and you have gray in the hair and you look like an elder. So I don't recognize you. I recognize Fuma when I see him, though.
Is the elder the one who's? Are you frustrated with something?
Yes.
Is there something? Okay. Is there something we have personally frustrated you about?
No.
Okay.
Him.
Isaac.
Yeah.
Well, there just seems to be this run-in. I don't even know what to think about it. And in all honesty, is do you do you do you feel that he's trying to balance out, or is there something untrustworthy there?
He doesn't trust him. It's like
Is it because of his connections to military?
yes, absolutely, to
So
the cabal and the programs. Yes,
why do you feel he's an unknowing or knowing person who gives your location?
yes, to a point.
I mean, I'm just
Like to a point. They're not judging him. It's more like it's they know that people can turn their heart around and do that, and they can become good. But they're also seeing the entirety of his record too. But you'd have to see the entirety of my record too. So it's like,
they know the entirety of our record.
yeah. So
And it ain't pretty, is it?
no, this is ours is a little different because we're not currently engaged in it. He is, and his brother is. So it's they're trying to be kind, but it's like he's trying to be kind.
Do you feel he is unknowingly a part of something?
Yeah, that he can honestly say.
So Isaac, do you hear that?
He hears him loud and clear.
Do you think there's a possibility that you could be compromised?
He goes, Isaac said, I shake it off like the best of them. So
Well, you do until you don't. I mean, no offense. It is not like it's a piece of cake, is it, Isaac?
he says the family tree seems to have a bit of a stubborn streak, but it's doesn't know when it's been infiltrated or not. But who am I speaking to? Who's the elder I'm speaking to? I don't recognize you. I do and I don't. Let's see. Did you say your name was like? Can you repeat that one time? Did you say your name was Atik? Atik? Attic or Atik? Adalik. Adalik. Okay. Adalik. Okay. Okay. And Fuma and the one behind you, I'm having a hard time. Is that Seymour? Is that Seymour? Yeah. Okay. I'm having a hard time seeing you. There's a lot of electricity there. Shielding. I know. Atalik? That's your name? I don't. Yeah, I've never met you, Atalik. Okay.
Well, you're an elder, so obviously you're not here because you are throwing a childish tantrum. You're not doing that. So, I mean, let's just put that out there that obviously you're an elder, you know exactly what you're doing and you know exactly why you're doing it. So, the bottom line is you're desperately trying to pass on a message right now.
Yes, so they are saying, okay, Fuma, obviously you are one of them with anxiety at the moment. He's like this, like he's fidgeting a little bit. And so Seymour.
I know it's not about them. So, can you be blunt with your message?
Yes.
Okay, please do.
Okay, Adalik is basically saying at times Isaac gets so infiltrated he doesn't know what he's doing. And he may pass it off to a crystal like he's been doing, which is fine. That works quite a bit, actually. But at times it can have the reverse effect that he wants. That he himself has things to work on, and he was also in league with a program and has been that hunts them. That he himself is not being 100% blamed for it, but they're saying, are afraid, they're quoting us, you're judged by the company you keep, even though they know he's trying to change things over there. There's sometimes he agrees to stuff that he can get further in to be able to fix things.
Are you trying to get out the fact that Isaac is not staying in his lane?
Yeah, there you go.
Because he's not. If that's actually what you're trying to say. He's making a choice to go out of his lane to try to get into something further, and then he becomes more greatly compromised.
There you go. That's a better way of saying it. Yeah, like he doesn't always stay in the lane. And Isaac said sometimes being the rogue is staying in your lane, so he has a different perspective on it. But it's like,
Well, then, but then Isaac, then after this conversation, you earn the right to be shunned because they should protect themselves. It's really kind of, do you know what? I will say that the tree is so fucking stubborn sometimes that they cannot hear what is actually something very beneficial for them to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So, not that I'm trying to take sides. I know like I am taking sides, but just to be flat out honest with you folks on YouTube, I do not have the fondest
Patreon. We're on
Patreon. Yeah. I do not have the fondness of Isaac that maybe some of you do. And so I get very frustrated with him because I've always said he's been playing the fence, and it's dangerous. And if you get a little bit too much egocentric, then you run the risk of issues. And
now he's wanting to talk to this. So
talk to it. I mean, talk to it. Sometimes talking is good instead of hiding behind it.
Okay, let's see. Make it quick, please. Let's see. The designated lanes aside, which is an absolutely good philosophy, one that I myself have spoken about on several occasions on other programs. I myself have nothing against these people. I hold the same veneration and love that both of you do for them. What they are trying to say is the fact that I am around those that they are attempting to hide from and have had to commit to questionable actions to be able to allow those people, say the people are abducted and whatnot, to be able to break out of the programming. Once people break out of certain programming, say something has been added, we'll use this as an example. Say something has been added that somebody else would have made an absolute circling around the toilet drain. We add an out, a back door. Thorsten and I add a back door, so therefore that person can find their way out of this. If we were to eliminate it altogether, they would find other people that would tighten the noose. It is, as he makes the comparison, the scientists who altered the Death Star plans to make it vulnerable. It is the same concept. It is a concept that the forest people do not necessarily abide because they see it as he sees it. Either it is wrong or it is right. And I cannot necessarily argue with that philosophy. I completely agree. But we have our lanes in which we are playing the roles in which we are playing. And though I do not agree and fervently disagree with what is going on, this is the hand that I have been dealt, and I do all my own inner work. And also, being amongst this allows that timetable for myself and my brothers to speed up and come to that karmic resolution all the quicker, you see. We chose that particular route to resolve that at its utmost pinnacle or apex. I have nothing against these people. Their argument is sound and is completely correct, except a slight agree to disagree on the fact that I am in the lane that I am meant to be in, even if it means appearing to shift lanes from time to time, you see. This is what they are pointing out. They are seeing the usage of the programming to defeat itself as a form of manipulation. This is why they have a grievance against myself and the people that I work around, which I do have a grievance against them as well. I do not agree with the tactics that we have been embroiled with, but it is as it is, you would say.
Well, but what I hear is something a little bit different that you did not bring up, which is kind of simply when you're in your lane and you're driving your car, do you drive it responsibly or do you drive it very, very recklessly in saying that I'm doing that because I am trying to help all these other people get to that back door. So I now am basically putting myself in a position of stretching myself maybe past my lane to be able to become compromised, almost in a your own personal savior mindset of it's more important for me to save these other people than to have good, solid boundaries of my own for my own personal health. That's what I heard them say. So I don't know. I don't know if you agree with me. Did I actually interpret that correctly?
Does it mean that I get struck down every now and again? Of course. As does he, as do you sometimes. This is not necessarily something to be consented to, but it does happen on occasion. We have found pits, traps, and pitfalls for a lot of this compromised energy to fall into, which is a wonderful thing. I have done the same as you all have done with your devices and with other communications. It is a wonderful thing, a diversion. However, on occasion, some things do take place. And before he ever left the programs, we also assured that we would step in front of a few firing bullets every now and again. This does not necessarily mean the martyrdom complex, as some would put it, but every now and again, the family did make agreements further back in history that we would always have each other's backs. And this is exactly how we are playing this game in this century, let's just put it.
I just have to say that I do not think an elder would come forward if he didn't have such advice as to say there's a trigger there that you're not seeing.
This is very true. Yes, their wisdom is well renowned amongst my family and others, and I do trust this particular advice. So, with that said, they do not necessarily have to have anxiety over myself or my brother Thorsden. Even though he himself gets mad at us from time to time on the playing of the tactics, this, I must say, was also a tactic in and of itself. So, this may not be the happy, joyful version of myself that you all were expecting, but there are times where, humor aside, there are things that have to be said, and their points are indeed valid. So, yes, I will take them to heart. So, with the three of you and any others that are listening, I know there are several others that they do not see or hear. Yes, that will indeed be honored, and you are indeed allowed to help remove anything that needs to be removed, as did he and his friend not too long ago on myself. So, with that said, then now I will detach, but I understand their grievance. Thank you.
I'd like to call it concern, Isaac, not grievance. I don't think that's too far of a stretch.
I just think he's a bit frustrated at it, but it's
he is, because your family tree there.
But anyway, yeah, the force people are concerned because of that, how some entanglements spill over on other areas, sort of thing, like the grievance I was talking about, where keep your lessons in the compartmentalized box, sort of thing, and they have the same philosophy. So it's like, if you have inner work to do, you can put yourself in a bubble, sort of thing, and do it. And that's rather their philosophy. So instead of opening a bunch of strings in places, is kind of how they view it. Both sides are not wrong. So it's
no.
And I think they were presenting different viewpoints and how they can work together. I think that's why that happened. But
it is. It's a part of it. Again, there's been many times, and even like being frank, even with myself and Isaac, that I'm sitting there in an uncomfortable situation with what's going on, and with what is the motivation factor of what's going on. And so again, this is just real life, folks. This is just real life on, dealing with things that you want to pretend you're 100% in sync, but you're not. Mm-hmm. You're not. And so how do you move forward through that anyway? And you have to be willing to listen when someone is saying you got a booger hanging out. even though, you think your profile is perfectly fine.
And
So,
now Isaac's making a joke. He says, for the ones that talk about boogers, they are the only ones in history that have the nickname boogers. So they
what? I just don't care.
and don't but no, they found that funny actually, because there are cultures that call them wood boogers and stuff like that. So it's like, but in the South they call them wood boogers. So yeah,
But it's important. It's important that, hopefully, that even with, conflicting ideology at times, there is a bottom line trust of being able to hear when you need to hear something.
yes, and he uses humor to shield that sometimes too.
He does. And but it is what it is. I can't fault people from, again, all of us guys, if we went down the toilet, I'm sure we were rotten.
Mhm.
Okay. So I be the first to, tell you that if someone's looking at my history, they probably want to walk the other direction from me and wonder what the hell I'm up to, kind of thing. And I partly wouldn't blame them, but that was then and this is now. And, although every now and then I do wonder, am I compromised? If you don't wonder every now and then that you're not compromised, I worry about you.
Yeah, you're not doing it right. If you're not thinking about that at least some of the time, or feeling that at some point in time.
Right.
Yeah, and Adelic, is this resolved? Yes, but normally I see the stone smash thing.
Well, it's a to be determined, I'm sure.
It's a to be continued, is what they said. Like he goes, they said, let's just say he has a few boogers he has to pick out of his nose. So it's like, they said they may be named for boogers, but that still doesn't compare to having boogers. I don't know what the hell they mean by that, but it's like,
True statement.
But also the original connotation of the word booger is demon. So that's that's where that came from. Like, God bless you, sneeze, you're getting the demons out.
That's what I mean.
Where that came from.
And that's what I mean, because we're all susceptible to the drive-by moment.
Yes, exactly.
And when you're in the midst of, in your heart of hearts, trying to stretch yourself to a point, and what's hard is when you try to stretch yourself when you're weak. When you're weak and you still try to stretch yourself past that, you need to reevaluate, should you? And because again, that's when you get all your boogers.
Mm-hmm.
Really, the real ones.
Exactly. And Fuma, what was that? And Seymour? I know, Adelic, you have to step back. Thank you. All right. Just know, he goes, Adelic says, I may be big lips, but he's big ego. Okay, or something like that. He's trying to make a joke, but it's like, he says it that way. He goes, not trying, dude. Okay, but yes, thank you, Adelic. I haven't met you yet. Are you from further up north in Washington? Yes. Okay, and Vancouver Island and those places? Yeah. Okay, yeah, you look like one of the ones that belong up there. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And Fuma? The frustration comes from not us, the environment of like things that attack, but he's pointing out sometimes Isaac contributes to that unknowingly, as we are discovering with other humans. So, yeah. So is this also why you two said in the past, I know you guys are having to back and go, but is this why you guys said in the past when I would bring other skulls into the territory, you said they talked too much? Were you referring to Isaac and his entanglements at the time? Or were you referring to other beings that happened to be in them that had the same conditioning? Both are true. Okay. Because a long time ago, they didn't like the fact I was bringing a bunch of edifices into the area, and they thought they talked too much, and they were downplaying it a little bit, but they were concerned. So it was, yes. Okay. So one last question: we didn't cause any of this, did we? With any of this, with the way the situation we're in now? No. It's a little bit of everybody out there. Not that we're being blamed for anything. It's like there's so many entanglements out there that that this what happened to Sycamore was inevitable after a while. So yeah. And they said they more blame themselves because they put themselves on the world stage. So to try to communicate, but it's more like, it's not blame. It's more like that was the result. You put yourself on the world stage. And this is sometimes the result. So it's they still want to continue to put themselves on the world stage. It's just, this is why they put themselves out there, and therefore their enemies got to their doorsteps. So old enemies, they're saying. So ones that didn't reveal themselves until lately. So thank you. Yes, loved you both. Yes, I know you got to go. I know you've stayed around a full hour. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I can't remember his name. He keeps wiping his name from my mind. Phaleron. For whatever reason, his name keeps leaving my brain.
Well, then let it.
I'm glad I wrote that down, but Phaleron's like that. They said he erases his name from the mind of the person so that they don't get. Okay, I understand, but I wrote his name down, so I hope he doesn't.
Just don't go back to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Just leave it alone. Leave it alone.
I'll just put the sticker in my book and leave it alone. But all right. Thank you, everybody, for watching this surprising and very good world of Sasquatch. Thank you for subscribing to this Patreon channel and viewing this video or wherever it happens to end up in subscription
and
form.
Hang in there. I mean, I don't mean that like other people.
In the creepy form, not the creepy form.
Not the creepy form. I'm saying that the more we could talk about it, the more we can bring to light, the more knowledge that is there, the more you're in control. Believe me, that is really power. Knowledge is power.
Yes.
Understand that. So take what we're saying as, again, more information so that you work on your intention, so that you do not go too far out of your lane, so that you can, slice through this as you're meant to be. Do not think this is negative information. It is not. It will help you.
Yes, yes, that's exactly true. Yes. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Bye-bye now.